Go ahead.
Well, thank you all for your participation and listening. So, topic on the table is insights and intuition, and we have Divine Scarlet with us, a master of boundaries, indie deck creator, and wonderful with crystals and astrology charts and tarot readings. And we also have Ashira here with us, Reiki master, magnificent in guiding through the astral world and communicating on multiple levels. Even saved me in my dream world multiple times. And yoga teacher. And here, Crystal, Almond Davy, whatever you want to call me. People even call me Hoot Girl for hallucinating on the beach. So last session we talked about communicating our needs, talking about boundaries and verbal communication and a check-in with the self. So I'll talk a little bit about check-in with the self, and then we're going to move forward with the energetic bodies, defining your space energetically, clearing your space energetically, and using integrity with intuition, with energetic communication. So, again, thank you all. Last time we talked about checking in with the self to make sure that we are leading with integrity. Checking in, is it the shadow self leading? Is it our guides leading? What's leading the way? And how are we feeling things out to kind of navigate on this plane? So, moving forward, thank you both. Uh, I know, Cole, you have a lot to share with the energetic realm, the auric field, and same with you, Melissa. Also, hoping you'll share a little bit more about um, communicating and putting things out with manifesting and how we can do that with integrity.
Okay, it sounds good.
All right, thank you. So, when we talk about communicating with the energetic body, what does that mean? And what is our auric field? So, what does that mean to both of you?
I'll let Nicole go for first on that.
I was thinking I would let you go first, but okay.
Well, I can talk.
So, right. So our energetic field is and they, for those that are skeptics, they do have scientific devices now that can read it. So just like we have electricity that runs and illuminates our homes, lights up our stove and things like that, the human body is bioelectric. And so just like, this is one of the upsides to technology, is that a lot of people that wouldn't quite understand the language of energy are starting to be able to understand it now because the tech world talks about it a lot. So when they talk about your devices having an electromagnetic field that is coming off of it, and that you need to be aware how much you expose yourself to it because there's EMFs radiating off of it, our bodies have an electromagnetic field that radiates beyond it. And they can measure it. They so far have measured it up to, I think, 8 to 10 feet away from the body, but they're not sure how far it can actually extend because that's just as far as the device can measure. And so our energetic field, kind of things show up in the energetic field before they show up in the physical world. So you can kind of think of it as the place where blueprints are established or can be changed.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, because it happens more than once. And I think of everything happening internally before it happens externally. Happens
Mhm.
between our ears, which is why our mindset's so important, as well as all the junk from the past, what we've taken in from people around us, and that 6 feet of space that we've had
Oh,
is huge. There is huge parallels with that. I mean, we feel people before we physically feel them. You feel someone when they're looking at you. Like, we can't ignore it. And we can also look at heart math. So go ahead and Google that. So, what radiates beyond your physical body, and how can we strengthen that and again clear it?
Yeah, I really feel like you can, especially when, I mean, probably all of us and maybe all our viewers too, but there are very sensitive types. Like for me, I'm very sensitive. I am outgoing. So I do come in contact with a lot of people, but I feel like there has to be a point of where you draw that boundary and bring it back and give yourself space to kind of like like not even, it's not de-stress. It's just like just calm yourself from all that extra like chatter that they gave you or they put around you. And it's kind of just like a rejuvenation state, I believe.
Totally, totally. I remember in massage school, or someone I had met post massage therapy license, she talked about giving yourself this shower of energy after every client to rinse them out. And I didn't understand it for a long time. I remember when I helped coach volleyball, and we're talking 14-year-olds. I'm not a magnificent volleyball coach by any means, but I remember like after a tournament, so we're spending like a whole weekend together, just laying down in bed and just seeing all their little cute faces. And I'm like, oh, their energy is still in me. And when I moved to this house, I saw the cat and the dog at night. It's like their energy is checking things out. So we are communicating beyond the physical. And it does matter to kind of rinse that out and check in. What is me and what is them? And for me personally, it's a lot of alone time, which seems to hurt people's feelings sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you check in with you as opposed to other things that feel sensitive? How do you keep your space energetically clear, whether it's in your like home or whether it's in that work field, that bubble, so to speak?
Well, for me, I definitely have to take some time off of being around people, and that means not looking at my phone. That means not chatting with people on email. I think it's a lot of just disconnecting. It's like almost, even when, we see everybody these days, even while they're alone, they got the phone in the hand, and it's still, there's still this communication, like information kind of being pushed still in your field. So I really think it's very good, especially if you vacation a lot, which I do, to just disconnect, like I post a picture like once a day and then I'm like, okay, I'm out, and it's nice, especially, I don't know if you guys love the ocean like I do. For me, the ocean is an extra special place where I feel at peace, at home, and more than any other place. It is that, I guess that in essence, it's that same shower, but like almost more literally, you know?
Yeah.
I agree with you. The ocean for me is it's the ultimate place to be able to wash it all clean. And more so ocean. I like the fact that you were like ocean. You were very specific. You didn't say a body of water. You said the ocean. And the ocean is salt water, and salt is known to be cleansing and detoxifying. And so I find that ocean is my number one. If I can be with any other body of water, that will work too. But you have to like set, like I have to do more of the work with my intention. Whereas the ocean is just like, I'm here and I can be like, I'm here. And like, we just know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, we're all in consensus here on, it means disconnecting from others so that way we can check back in with ourselves. And, a lot of what I've come to learn about the energetics of the world, and not just planet Earth, but the world in general and ourselves, I've had to figure my way around it. And then I would be guided to teachings about it to then learn the science behind what my intuition had already taught me. So I don't necessarily advocate going that route if you can go it another route, because it is more challenging that way. But if you're a skeptic, it's fabulous because you've already experienced it, and then you're shown, okay, this is the teaching. This is why. So one of the things that I, started doing was just literally putting my hand over my heart and asking myself the question, do you belong to me, or is this something I picked up from someplace else? And then really listening to that answer. And, the other day I thought about, gosh, like, when are we going to quit with like, I'm so tired of this, clearing. I'm like, if all we do is focus on clearing and, getting rid of all this old stuff, how much time are we focusing on what we really do want? Which means the universe has given us more crap to clear. And then the message that came in was, but you don't take like 1 or 2 showers in a lifetime and think that's it, right? So just like we take a shower on a regular basis, energetically we need to check in, because we do interact, like you said, Melissa. We're not just interacting physically with people, we're interacting like this. And energy is neutral and knows no boundaries unless we set them. So energy is just going to move around because that is the nature of energy. So it is our job to take time out and, say, what is life affirming? What is helping me grow? What is now, because one day the thing that liberates you 2 days later can be the thing that imprisons you. So, we always have to go back to that. That's why having a daily meditation practice is good, because if you do it in a way that you stop, you check in, where am I? How am I? What do I need? And then sit for your meditation and listen. Just really listen for the answers.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I took so much meditation at a time in my life. I haven't done it for a while, but I've noticed that you might not even need meditation as long as you are honest with yourself. If there's something blocking you and you're not wanting to see it, meditation's even extra great, because it does bring those things up that you're not wanting to see. But as long as that chatter isn't in your mind trying to hide that real, true, authentic feeling that you're having, whether it's typically right or it's typically wrong, whatever, in conventional society. I don't think you and I and Crystal here, we have too much of that society. Well, but we may, we might still somewhere deep down in there, that residue that we've tried to clear out so many times. There's still some things that might have been set before we're even conscious of it. And even that comes from when we don't remember when we were children might still be there. And I know I still deal with a lot of that that I don't even know is there, but a lot comes up in dreams. And since you were talking about dreams, dream work, and I find that I have, I don't know if you guys have this, you probably do, but I have sometimes a teacher, like he's the same teacher again and again. He'll come in my dreams and teach me how to do something. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know how, I didn't know how to do that. And so I like to listen. I like to see what it meant. And I feel like sometimes that's the only way, like some more general people who are not connected to spirituality it's the way that they get their information, because they're too blocked during the day. So that unconscious area is where they can open up and receive more.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. And to touch back to what you said about the meditation. So, I think, and I kind of hesitated when I started to use the word meditation, because most American society thinks meditation is you have to sit in silence, and in the beginning that kind of is. It's like whenever you're learning something new, you have to slow down, take it slow. You have to kind of quiet the outer distractions to do that. but there's so many things. You don't necessarily just have to sit still. It can be, knitting, it can be running, it can be riding a bike, it can be, all these different things. When I did nails and I would do a pedicure and I would massage my clients' feet, I would slip into a state of meditation, which I didn't realize was happening until after I started practicing yoga and I started meditating. And then I realized what had been happening for years. But so, when you're starting out that kind of, when you're starting out, well, it's like a relationship with anybody. When you're building the foundation of a relationship, it takes more time and more attention and more one-on-one time, right? And then as you've built a stronger foundation and a stronger connection, you can still be tuned into each other, even if you're at a crowded party or something. And so the same thing that happens with your relationship with yourself. We spend some time in meditation to help to cultivate, healthy communication with ourselves. And so that way we know what our intuition and what our higher guidance sounds like. And the whole purpose of sitting and doing that is so that way when you're out in the world and things are hitting the fan, for sure when it's your higher guidance talking to you. Like you said, Melissa, you don't have to sit for like when you've established that, it becomes, gravy. It becomes, the special date night that you get to do. But you're always in contact with that. You're always kind of checking in, going, huh. Like I have a friend who, she does this when she drives. Like she comes to a stop sign and she's like, which way should I go? And then she follows that. And that's one of the practices she does to maintain that constant connection with herself. And that constant way of saying, I trust your guidance. Like,
Yeah, that's huge. And that trust with yourself to be able to discern. We've all talked about discernment a lot. And how do we know we're in fear? How do we know we are in a pattern response? How do we know we're in our memory storehouse? And Melissa, you made a great point that those memories can be early in childhood. They can also be from past lives and other, let's say generational curses that you were brought here to work through, to break through. And I think you made, Melissa, a great point of having a guide with you, that we're not alone on this journey, that we can call on support, whether you have that guide team around you that you sit and call in, or whether you call in someone new and be like, today, Owl Spirit, I need your light in the dark to show me what I can't see, right? Or whether you need the hummingbird spirit to show you the sweetness of life because you just can't see and feel it at this moment, whatever it is. Those are just examples. But this cue that we're not alone, and that check-in, I think, is really important, not only to discern, okay, is this me? Is this someone else's energy coming in from somewhere else? Even if it's not from somewhere else, you talk to them that day. They could be coming in your dreams. They could be coming in telepathic communication. They could be doing whatever in their world that you don't want to deal with. You feel, I don't know why they don't realize we can feel that. But whatever it is, and then you can use your guide team to be like, hey, can you buffer that for me? I don't want to feel that, right? That's my energetic boundary. If they're doing their thing, please, yeah, I don't want to feel that. Whatever it is. Or in the dream world, I don't want so and so visiting me, or help me clear that out and discern what's telepathic, what's happening in the dream world, what's happening energetically, and what's from my past to now clear. And you made a really good point that it's ongoing. It's like laundry or dishes. We're constantly clearing out. And as soon as you get to one layer, you're like, oh, there I am again.
Right.
There's something new to work through.
And at least we're talking about subtle energies right now, right? These are the more subtle things that we're picking up. This is like on another layer where most people aren't even looking at yet. And I mean, as you know, I do counsel women, and the women that I would say that I mostly counsel are dealing with just a really practical level of their feedback in the world and the person that they chose to be with. I mean, if you look at their life and they say, okay, well, now I'm with this person. What does my life look like since I met this person? Okay, I have no job. My car is falling apart. I'm failing school. I have, all these things. It's just like, okay, so what kind of boundary or what choice did you make to allow that kind of life to be setting in? And that's the first layer of looking at yourself. And then I think this other layer that we're talking about comes in. But that first layer, it seems like it should, like, kind of, not, I don't want to say the word should, because we're all at our different timings, just notice these type of things, and it is our own growth, and at different times we'll see this or not. But then to me it's like, well, what boundary can you put, and how why is that not even a discerning thing in your life when it's going downhill on every level because you've chose this person or allowed this person to get so involved? And I think we've all been there too. We have at one state in our time in our lives all probably been there.
Well, and I think too, Melissa, sometimes, you can get involved with somebody and at first, things are going great. Like we were, chatting before this, that, sometimes relationships, not all of them are meant to last a lifetime. And so you're meant to be with that person for a period of time. And during a period of time, things are great. You are living in alignment with your soul. And so your life reflects that because you're in harmony with the other person, your job is great or whatever. But when it's, when the universe starts tapping you on the shoulder and whispering in your ear, it's time to go. We need to learn, and I really do mean we need to learn how to honor that and to start making those plans, because it's when we don't do that kind of stuff that the life seems to start to systematically fall apart, and it's just like you were getting at, is that's like your soul's way of saying the life you're living is not in alignment with the life you're supposed to be living. And so, like, yeah, like, and how are you going to, shift your energy and shift your boundaries so that way that can happen?
Very good point.
Exactly.
On the inside and the outside, like intrinsically motivated, feeling sensations, listening to your guides, but also seeing how those choices show up in the external. So you have external feedback to tell you, hey, you might want to redirect course.
Yeah, like her friend was saying, which way do I go while she's driving, right? Like, and trusting, it's really about that trust. That trust in life is really a big, big thing.
And I think especially when you get into the energetic world, and in intuition, your guides, I feel like, and you made the point, Cole, that you might have a reason why you meet that person. There's an energetic exchange. There's a lesson to be learned. Well, if
Right.
your intuition and your guides directed you toward that person, and wow, there was a pitfall, there was a pain, there's something that hurts, but that was a soul lesson, a soul
Right.
contract to reevaluate. It takes a deeper level of faith, or at least for me, to go, I can trust myself again to trust my guides. I can trust myself again to choose a healthy partner.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I would say probably the number 90 is coming to mind. About a good 90% of our lessons here are lessons in energy management, right? So, if you look at, Earth being school, for the soul. And this is where you get to take, most of your classes are going to be in energy awareness, energy management. And, they're going to be, the grade levels are going to be everything from energy in the physical world all the way into our energetic field as it appears in the outward world. But also, since we've, touched on dream time too, like where are we? So most people do start out with starting to notice things in the physical world. And then little by little, as you start to quote unquote master those things, you start to move into the subtle realms more and more. And so then, it does start to move into dream time. And you even have to be aware of your, not just, so one of the things that as we're talking about this, it may come across to other people is that we're talking a lot about how we protect our boundaries against other people. And that is great. But also in this, it's really important for people to understand that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. So just because someone else is unaware of the energetic world does not mean you have carte blanche to their world, And so it's important that the more you understand about the operations of energetics, and if you want people to honor your boundaries, whether they be mind, body, or spirit, or all of them, you have to be just as honoring in your practices of other people's boundaries, mind, body, and spirit. Because if you're not going to honor someone else's boundaries, the universe is going to set it up so that way your boundaries aren't honored, to bring your awareness to what that feels like.
Good point. Excellent point. And I think this comes back to the auric field and working in the subtle realms. That now I don't wholeheartedly believe that we call in disease and all these things like manifestations in the negative. I want to steer clear of that fear-based mentality. And I appreciate you said there's a learning that happens with humans and our energy world. So if we think about our auric field, it's almost like we're this star shining bright, and it's like something else catches that attention of the frequency to which you radiate, and that brings you to a certain level of learning, understanding, and connection in the material realm and the gods to which you associate with and work with to grow on multiple levels.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Melissa, you and I have talked about this a lot with tarot readings, and I think you made a good point, Cole, about not having carte blanche. It's like one thing I think we all have a common opinion about, if opinions are okay to share, is like, just because you can tap into energy, just because you can lay out some cards, just because you can get a reading, doesn't mean you should go prying into someone else's information. If we look at the YouTube world and we look at tarot reading, it's all like, what is he thinking? Is he my soulmate? Is this my husband? Will I meet my mate? And yes, intrinsically, we are humans wanting love. We are wanting to connect. We want intimacy. Does that mean we go prying?
I think it's like, when you learn Akashic records, they always say, I mean, I don't know with you guys, but when I learned it, I was always told you have to get permission. You have to get permission before you can go into any of that. And I think that's, also the idea of, people always ask me this, can I manifest for my boyfriend this because he needs to do this and this and this? And it's like, no, you just manifest for yourself. You can't make someone else. That's the same idea on the basic level of I want to change him.
Right.
Which we know, and if you put it into those terms, that's not right. That's not.
It's a clear violation of free will.
Exactly. Yeah. or even the idea of like love spells. And as we all know,
Mm.
you're on Instagram, you're gonna get attacked by these people who are like, "Hey, do you want a love spell? Your picture popped out at me, and I want to do something for you. You know, whatever." I have my Divine Scarlet site. People don't really contact me on that with, but I have my regular site that people don't know what I do. So then they're always like pushy and offering me stuff. And I'm just like, okay, guys, like, no, I would ask you if I was looking for that. It's like some people with their sales or and here's another thing. They need you. They need your money. They need to do something with you. And to me, when you're coming from a place of need, like that is not a good place to start out with because again, it's a boundary issue here. It's like, okay, we have to set our time and energy to work with a person, and we have to receive something in turn, whether it's we're trading gifts with each other, whether it's maybe I'll give a reading and then you can give me like Reiki, whatever, something like that. It has to go like in a circle, whether it's money, whether whatever it is, it's your time and energy. And that time, to me, what is like the one thing that is the most valuable thing on our planet? Really, it's like time, because you can't get time back. You can get your money back if you lose it, but not time. And that's the one thing that's limited in this world. And to me, you have to really protect your time and energy, to do what you want. You don't want to just throw, your time out there if somebody's not going to receive it. And to me, that's the biggest thing with when you're working in what we do with another person. Is this person gonna be like, you have to, even if they want to pay you at first, sometimes that is still not that great because they want the answer that they want. Like, let's say we do tarot, like I was telling Crystal before, I did tarot for this lady several times, and she kept saying, I'll pay you more. I'll pay you more. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Like, you just don't want to hear the answer that means. And I had to put a stop to it and be like, no more tarot for you.
It's
Yeah,
huge.
so that's a good thing to bring up, Melissa. And because you and Crystal, lately I've been kind of like pretty isolated. I have one yoga student that I'm working with, but for the most part, I'm taking care of my grandson. And so, but both of you are still very active doing readings and the various stuff that you do. To probably touch on for people that are watching this, the boundaries that you set up both energetically and physically with clients that do get to be pushy like that. So if both of you, Crystal, you and Melissa, would like kind of just.
I would say it's a growing thing of learning. And I've found that either in doing hypnosis and doing tarot readings, I mean, we're diving deep, and I'm with you, Melissa. I get permission. I am not out there on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube going and messaging people trying to attract clients. I'm like, the right fit is going to come to me, and I'm going to trust that. And there are sometimes I get information, and I'm like, ooh, they're not going to want to hear this. And that's hard to deliver. And I have, sometimes I've learned to soften that and like stretch it out in a way through a reading. And I'm still learning because I'm an Aries, and I can be pretty like to the point, cutthroat, like rather than coaching along. But I have found there are some people that they want a specific answer, and I've had to do the same thing as you, Divine Scarlet, and be like, asking the same question specifically to connections. Like, they want the answer. They want to know that that's going to be their mate for the long term. And I'm like, man, that's not what I'm getting. And that's not what you got in your first reading. And I literally have told people, it's not healthy for me to keep giving you the reading. Like, I gave you the answer I've had, and it's not healthy for me to keep revisiting the same question. And in the same regard, I've had people that have been like, they want to hear it's someone else's fault and not their own. And I turn around and be like, hey, you need to look at yourself and how you're showing up in that relationship, and how you bear some responsibility and some accountability to your own self-care, that you cannot just pass the puck to someone else and keep throwing darts at someone else in this relationship, rather than turning inward and going, how am I showing up? What do I need to do? And what shadow work am I throwing into this connection and blaming this other person for? Oh, they don't want to hear that. And that, I think that makes it hard in this work. You know?
Yes, definitely. And yeah, tarot cards are, I mean, to me, there's I always try to start out with a tarot card, you know, when I'm doing it, is telling somebody, this is your reading right now. Okay, this doesn't mean that this is all ending fate of all time. Now, granted, if you tend to see it over the last, you know, the same situation over the next, you know, 10 times, you do it over the next year. Okay, we're getting to a theme here. But it's also the way you're perceiving things and the way you're looking at things. So let's say you're looking at one thing very negatively, very restricted, very fearful. Well, that ending cards are going to come out different than if you go into it with a more positive outlook. So I feel that tarot is very moldable, and it's not necessarily a fate, you know, fated thing. Sure, I feel there are things that in the world that are fated, like meeting people. Like, we all meet each other for a reason, you know, whether it's something little, whether it's something big. And I do believe, you know, like you're saying, you do attract I'm not looking for 100 clients. I'm looking for the right clients, even if it's one or two or three, you know? So I'm not looking for the numbers. I'm looking for the fit.
Very good point. Very good point. Permission, I think, is huge to step into this world, that we don't go prying into anyone without their permission. I always do that. And knowing what you can and can't provide for that person. And I also like, Melissa, that you said this reading is about what I tap into in this moment and what that other person brings to the table at the time of the reading. And just like you said, Cole, about that person's, you know, stopping at a stoplight, do I go left, right, forward? I feel like when you give a reading, it is at that stoplight, and then you're giving direction based on what you receive. And it also depends on who's reading for you and who they are attuned to give information. So I think the shadow work of another of the reader matters. I'm constantly checking in with myself. Is this a projection? Is this what I'm receiving? Almost to a fault. You know, always checking in. Where is this coming from? And what are the layers here that I'm receiving to then share with the person?
Well, too, you know, we've, you know, brought up how, you don't read for other people, you know, don't be a Mrs. Kravitz and be, you know, spying on your neighbors through getting readings for them. Like, that's just not a good idea. But, you know, this is a world of interconnection. And so I find that, like you guys said, this is how the energy is showing up here at this time. But the various, like, if you look at it as our lives are a movie, right? And the various actors that are cast to play certain roles, they all have free will. So that's the way the script looks in this moment. But if one of those actors, something happens and they exit stage left, that's going to change how the script goes going forward, you know? And I find that, like, you know, life, I always think of, for people that actually remember the books, Choose Your Own Adventure. You know, I love those. And I have, for like, long before I started practicing yoga or anything, you know, like this consciously, I always believed that's what life was like. I've always believed in reincarnation. I've always believed that life was like a choose your own adventure book. Like it's out there and it's written, but you have choices, and those choices determine, you know, different roads that you go down, different experiences that you have. So yeah, I think when you guys are doing readings, that, yeah, this is how it looks in this moment, but there's other factors that can alter whether something makes its way into the physical world or not. And if people are interested in, kind of just journeys of people's lives that are intuitively guided, Regina Meredith wrote a book, Accidentally on Purpose. And it's just about her crazy journey through life and how it's been intuitively guided and how she's worked with her guides, and she's had some readings from people and things like that. And she has talked about how things can change based on the free will of others, and how certain things seem to line up, and then they don't. They can take a left turn. And it's a super interesting book if anybody, if you're just curious, like how to just follow the breadcrumbs along. And sometimes you're given enough information to get you to the next point, or you're given information to go in one direction. The destination in that direction is not really where they want you to head. They want you to head in that direction because there's other things that you're going to encounter along the way. And so spirit will dangle a carrot and be like, ooh, woohoo, over this way. And you're like, oh yeah, the carrot. And then all along the way, you're like, oh, but this rose bush and this and that. And it's those things, those lessons that you're learning, or those experiences that you're having, that are what is really important.
To me too, it's like, sure, we can all just want to stay in this like light, perfect world, where nothing really hurts us. But the real challenges and the real transformative moments that change our lives are in kind of a painful way. And it's about how you grow through it, I believe. Even if your heart breaks through it, it does shine that light into your heart. And I've been recently told by someone, okay, you're getting close to a situation where it's looking tricky and your heart's involved, and you better put that guard up, you better put that shield up. And I was like, I can't do that, because I'm like that poet who's like, it's better to have love than lost than never loved, so I can't be a wall, like where am I going to learn to just be a wall? How's that going to benefit me, to wall up and hide, and so I do think it's important to step up to a challenge, as hard as that may be, as fearful as that may be, if it feels right in your soul, if it is that part of your soul path.
I think that's an excellent, that is such a great point, Melissa. I'm so glad you shared that, because that was one of the things I was thinking about earlier that we kind of, I was hoping we would touch on. And two things to what you said. Like, one of my favorite quotes is, it's about how gracefully you walk through fire, right? And fire is the element of transformation. And right, how gracefully can you walk through this fire that is going to completely transform you. And so you're right, like, you can't, like, I mean, you could totally wall up if you want and hide from it and all of that, but what benefit is that going to be? So when you start talking about protecting your energy field, there is such a thing as putting up too much protection, because if you build these impenetrable walls, that means nothing gets in. And with that understanding that energy is neutral, that means nothing gets in. Nothing that you want gets in, nothing that you don't want gets in, nothing gets in. And you have now built a prison for yourself. Your sanctuary is now your prison. you know, and some of the most incredible insights into ourselves or the nature of the divine and the cosmos come through the most heartbreaking moments. You know, it's that, you know, it's also when you learn how strong you are, you know. Like, I don't know, I just keep seeing this thing where there's like a rock, you know, and then it starts to crack open, and then the line, the light just starts bursting out of it, you know. And if you don't, you know, and I think what you said right there towards the end is the most important part, is that if it feels right to your soul, right? So you know you're getting into dicey territory. You might have to do a little bit of a cha-cha, you know, but is the rhythm of this dance, does it feel good? Does it feel good to you on a soul level, right? If the answer is no, then that's something that's not in alignment for you. But if you're like, yeah, I'm willing to go through this heartbreak because so much of it feels beautiful and wonderful and life affirming to me, then yeah, like that's something you have to see through, you know. But if you're like, if you wake up and your stomach is clenched and you're like vomiting every day because it doesn't feel like it's in alignment with your soul, then perhaps you should go a different direction.
Well put, Cole. Well put there in navigating the terrain on multiple levels, both of you. And it kind of brings us back to where we began of what is a boundary and self-regulating. We talked about self-regulating and learning what those signals are inside to guide you forward, whether it is some sort of pathology in the body, whether it is some opening of the heart space or some connection to something greater than we're able to explain. So, how beautiful. Thank you both for your sharing.
Thank you.
So I think the next topic on our table is you as a priority of navigating from that soul place rather than choosing the pitfalls that we're accustomed to or the patterns that we've grown comfortable for too, and how we can negotiate that space, negotiating our terms, and defining our non-negotiables, as in like, I'm leveling up, I'm not going backwards, I'm growing forward. So stay
Okay.
tuned. And thank you both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Thank both of you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.